someone who actually walked through all of that, was right there in the Oval Office, is Jerry Rafshoon. He's the former White House Communications Director. He joins us right now on the phone. If you're with us, Mr. Rafshoon, give us a little perspective of what it was like in the Oval Office during those challenging times, sir.
Well, I go back a long time with Jimmy Carter to when I met him was in 1966 when he was trying to run for governor at that time, and I was just started my advertising agency. Anyway, I did that campaign. We didn't win, but we came close, and then 4 years later, he was elected governor. And then 3 years into the governorship, we thought it might be a cool idea for him to run for president. So he ran for president and won. Jimmy Carter was a great president. And I know him as being a great friend. The people who worked for him loved him. He was a tough taskmaster. I mean, you had to know your stuff if you go into a meeting with Carter. But he never insulted you, or he never made you feel bad, even when you were bad or when you got things wrong.
You know, we're just now seeing, I'm sorry, sir, we're just now seeing him land at Joint Base Andrews, the plane, his remains there. What are your thoughts about what has transpired as folks across the country and across the globe, even the royal family, they pay homage to the 39th president?
Well, I think he's underrated, and the truth of the matter is that we didn't have a war. We were hit by a terrible energy crisis and the Iranian crisis, but he never shirked his duties. He never shirked his responsibility. He may have, in some ways, been too nice in not taking the blame for something that somebody else did. But he was the smartest man I've ever known, I can tell you. He was a farmer, and he was a businessman, and he excelled in both of those things. And then, but as far as part of the man, you couldn't have a better friend.
You mentioned Mr. Carter being a friend, and so many people feel like he was their friend, whether it was just from a chance meeting with the former president, the Carter family. What do you want people to know about your friend? What do you think that legacy should be for former President Carter as somebody who was in the trenches working with him for so many years on this journey?
Well, I don't understand what do you mean?
What do you want people to remember of the man who was your friend?
I want them to remember the man who never hurt people, who never shirked his duties, who was whip smart, but never lauded. He never made you feel bad. And there were times when he could have said, you failed on something. But he didn't do that. But you certainly went out of your way to do the right thing around him. He made me feel good. I once said to him, you make me feel, being around you make me feel like a better person. And he said, well, that's a tough job. He said, but I'll do my best.
Right.
Mr. Rafshoon, I want to ask you, how do you think history in the long run will treat President Carter's presidency. In the immediacy of post-President Carter's administration, many said that it was an unsuccessful presidency, that it was troubled. There were many things, the Iranian hostage crisis chief among them, but also the energy fuel crisis, fuel shortage. There were lots of problems that many people refer to when they speak of Carter's presidency. But in the long run, do you think that his presidency will get a new evaluation, and do you think the history books will treat it differently in years to come?
He was hit by a worldwide energy crisis, and it was hit by a energy crisis and hit by a hostage crisis. Mm-hmm. And also, he was challenged by Ted Kennedy in the Democratic primary. And any time a president, an incumbent president, is challenged by somebody in his own party, that person doesn't win the nomination. Mm-hmm. But his challenge does a lot to cause you to lose the general election.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. So I say the two people that we had to worry about were Kennedy and Khomeini. But he never cried about. He never tried to get out of a situation by not telling the truth.
Yeah, we hear a lot about that, Mr. Rafshoon. We really appreciate you stopping by, giving us that perspective and context about your relationship.
I wasn't close to my father, but Jimmy Carter in some ways the father I didn't have. And I'm closer to his age than Hamilton and Jody and others, but I'm so proud that I knew him and that I worked for him and that I was able to love him.
And we appreciate all that you did during that time. Thank you for stopping by. And
thank you. Thank you for thinking about us.
Absolutely.